Hello, my name is Brandon Sheldon,
And I'm Nolan Eldridge.
and this is Rookie Season. We are amateur hunters and fishermen who are looking to share our journey of learning the sports. We live in the beautiful state of Maine, and we invite you to join us while we get better at hunting and fishing. We talk about bow, rifle, and black powder hunting, and the different aspects that go into those practices, such as tracking in the snow. We also talk about open water fishing and ice fishing.
Be sure to check out our YouTube and social medias to see photos and videos of what we're discussing on the podcast. There's tons of pro outdoorsmen across the country, and we wanted to share the amateur or rookie point of view of the sport, where we will make lots of mistakes and have to overcome many challenges to get the job done. Maine is notorious for its difficult hunting and low deer density, so we have many challenges ahead of us. Now, let's get into the episode.
All right.
We're hot.
Yeah. So, we're about 10 minutes before we started recording this, we've been trying to figure out exactly what we wanted to talk about in this podcast. And we kind of went in a circle, a couple different ideas. So we're just going to start off with what Nolan was just saying was, I can't even pronounce it.
Opportunistic hunter.
You got to be an opportunistic hunter. And I think he's right. So tell us about the story, what you were just telling me. And then we'll talk about the different opportunities and what you have to be prepared for while you're out in the woods.
So, opportunistic is basically, it's the idea of you'll meet people who, during deer season, always have a rifle in the backseat of their truck. A rifle and a vest. You know, just because God strike you down, you see a deer on the side of the road and you can take a shot.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I've always run into that, you know. Bring a gun, you're not going to see anything. Don't bring it, you're going to see anything. But what really nailed it home is, you know, we discussed in like our first real episode, I really wanted to get a Grand Slam this year and I needed to get a turkey. And we had 2 days of what we refer to as cast and blast. So it's the time period in the state of where you can legally fish for trout and harvest them and shoot a partridge. And so I was like, you know what? I want to go on a cast and blast, and I don't care what I catch or what I blast.
Yeah.
I'm not coming home until I get something to eat for dinner.
That's fair.
And so I throw a kayak and a fishing rod and my shotgun and a bunch of number 7 game load for partridge. And I'm like, well, it's turkey season. I bought my tag that morning, too, because I was like, it's turkey season. I'll bring 3 shells with me, turkey load, and, you know, on the off chance, it was like a week prior, I was going out just on my 4-wheeler to fiddle around, and I ran across a flock of turkeys, no tag, no gun.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm not going to see anything this time. Pull out of my driveway, made it 100 yards.
Yeah. Did you go right or did you go left?
I went right.
So just so people know, Nolan lives at the end of a road where it switches from tar to dirt. And in Maine, on a dirt road, you are allowed to shoot.
Yes.
And So just to clarify, it's not like we're in the middle of the city and he was just like, holy.
Yeah, I'm out in the boonies, so this is all kosher as far as the state is concerned. So I see the flock, and it was actually right next to a camp. So I can't shoot right there because I got to be 100 yards from that camp.
100 or 300 yards?
100 yards, 300 feet.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yep.
So I jump out, and I'm just staring at these birds while I'm loading those 3 shells that I brought, thinking, man, I really wish I brought more than 3 shells.
Yeah.
And they're just kind of watching me. And it was at like a T intersection that I ran into them. And the camp is right on the corner of this T. And it was the, main road here, T going this way. And this was a real narrow road that hadn't been used much, and it's real thick on stuff. I'm like, I'll just walk at them and see if they'll run down that road.
Yeah.
And I start walking at them, and they kind of start going down that road. I was like, well, that's working.
Yeah.
And I pursue them a little bit, and then they take off running. And a couple of them break off and whatnot. So then I start thinking, man, I wish I brought a turkey call.
Yeah.
Because in the fall, what you can do, I've heard this is one of the better strategies. Run right at the flock, screaming, yelling, and break them up.
Yeah.
Because their strength is in numbers. And then you look to see where a small group went off. So if it's like 15 turkeys and 10 of them go straight and 5 of them go right.
Who has told you this?
The internet.
The internet. Fair enough. I don't really turkey hunt, but
I mean,
it sounds outrageous, though.
It sounds outrageous, but when you break them up, they're scrambling to get back together. So you look at where that small group went. They want to get back to the big group, so you hide and you start calling.
Okay.
And you're basically saying, hey, this is where we should meet up.
Yeah.
And those 5, in theory, will come back to you.
Yeah.
And I've seen it happen before. They when a couple of them break off, they start doing stupid stuff just in a panic. And so I don't have the turkey call with me. And I'm trying to... They went over a hill.
Okay.
And I'm trying to, like, low jog up this hill, see if I can get to the peak.
Yeah.
And blast them down on the other side of the hill.
Right.
They say turkeys are dumb. No, they ain't.
Yeah.
They left one of them at the top of the hill because it peeked up over the hill, yelled a little bit, and then took off, and the rest of them took off. And so I'm like, well, I just need to run as fast as I can. So I book it at them.
Oh, gosh.
Get to the top, and they're like 60 yards away. I was full choke, throw 2 shots at them. Nothing. Didn't even see a feather fly. I was like, I knew I was wasting the shells at that point, but I wanted to say I shot at them.
Right.
And so I throw the gun on my shoulder. I've got the one in the chamber, and that's it.
Okay.
And I start walking back to my truck. And all of a sudden, like I said, they do stupid stuff. One of them flies across the road. Bink! And it came down.
Yeah.
I got it.
You can shoot turkeys in the air?
Yeah.
And that's a dumb question. Is it just when they're in the tree you can't shoot them?
Right. When they're in their roost, you can't shoot them.
Okay.
That's my understanding of the law. Otherwise, I just criminalize myself.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I mean, I have to say, out of the 6 turkeys I've shot, 3 or 4 of them have been, well, they're flying. Always as a result of me spooking them. I am not a patient hunter, as we learned.
We should Google it. We should figure it out.
We should
get an
Google
answer. Hey, you got a computer right there. Well, while you look that up, just so we can
I was so certain about myself until you questioned it.
I got no idea. I know you can't shoot them in the tree when they're roosted, and that may be the deciding factor. You know.
Yeah.
In my mind, if they're not roosted there, you're always shooting them on the ground. That's how I kind of pictured it. If not, you're going to jail, son. No, not sure if you're going to jail or not, but I will lose it if you find out right now you have poached 6 turkeys.
We're stopping this and
Deleting it.
yeah.
That'd be hilarious. Yeah. No, if it makes you feel any better, I tackled the turkey one time on the side of the road.
You what?
Yeah. I was with my buddy, and I don't know, we were probably shortly after high school, and there was just a bunch of turkeys on the side of the road, and they were just hanging out, and we had stopped to look at them, and he was like, I bet you can't catch one of those turkeys. I didn't think I could.
Yeah.
And so I got out of the car and I just started running at him, and I jumped at one and just grabbed it by the neck. Once I had no idea what to do with it, though, because I wasn't expecting to catch it, so it was just like...
Now what?
so I chucked it and I ran back to the car.
Okay, so on maine.gov, IFNW.
Okay.
Because I'm not going to lie, the AI said you can't shoot them in flight. But I don't trust AI. You can't use dogs. You can't do a drive. You can't use bait. You can't use a trap. You cannot shoot a turkey while it is in a tree.
Okay.
This turkey was not in a tree. It was in flight over a road.
Yeah.
Can't shoot it outside of season. You can't have any illegal turkey parts. You can't buy or sell it. There is nothing saying you cannot shoot a turkey while it is in flight.
Perfect. All right. Not a criminal today.
Jeez, man, don't do that to me.
That's all right. I don't turkey hunt, so I just had to ask.
like I said, I've for years I've been so certain about that. As long as I'm not shooting it out of its roost, it's fine.
Yeah.
And it was until you questioned it.
Yeah. Well, it's like the whole hunting from a dirt road. Like for the longest time, I thought you couldn't like shoot from a dirt road. I thought you had to get off the dirt road.
Yeah.
But you can.
It still like some days.
Yeah.
Kind of skeeves me out a little bit when I'm on because we have the dirt roads and the logging roads and everything, and some logging roads are highways compared to others.
Oh, absolutely.
And so when I'm on like one of the highway dirt roads, I'm still like, am I supposed to do this?
Feels a little weird, yeah.
But it is legal.
Yeah, no, Yeah, just one of those things, learning the laws.
Yeah.
So now you stressed it because I made you question it.
Yep.
You'll never forget.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, anyways, so I shot that thing out of the air. So my entire, I'm staying out, until dark. I don't care how long it takes.
Yeah.
10 minutes and I was back home and I accomplished my mission for the day.
Well, there was that. Yeah.
And then fast forward a week or two, I get an invite to go duck hunting.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, why not? I didn't really want to go because I was so dead set on getting the Grand Slam that I wanted to be deer hunting or I don't know if bear was open at this time, but I wanted to be hunting something, not duck, just to try to get that. And I was like, you know what? Go out for fun, shoot your gun a little bit. Because you always shoot your gun duck hunting, even if it's not at something. Get bored, shoot a cattail.
There's that, yeah, yep.
We call it the wake-up call. Gets them all flying up out of the marsh.
Yeah.
So we go out, and it was Scotty that brought me out.
Nice.
And he's talking up this spot. Dude, we go out there, 2-man, 3-man limits every time. I think we saw one flock that didn't come within range.
I think when he went with LT last year, he said the same thing. Like,
yeah.
Not picking on Scotty, but picking on Scotty. And last year, I think he said the same thing, and LT was like, "Yeah, we started like a duck."
Yeah, I mean, ducks. That's nothing against him. Ducks are so finicky. Like you gotta just time the migration right and everything. Yeah. You can have a great spot, but if they're not there, they're not there.
No, picking on them out of love. Not
I know.
For sure.
I know.
Yeah. Well, it's like fishing. Like I love trout fishing.
Yeah.
And I have really good luck, in my opinion, of trout fishing. And I'll bring people sometimes. They're like, "I'm gonna go trout fishing. Never caught a trout." I'm like, "All right, let's go."
Nothing.
Yeah. You get just nothing but eaten by bugs and sunburnt.
Same thing happened when I brought Michaela. I brought her to the pond that you and I both kind of consider shooting fish out of a barrel.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we got nothing. I think we saw a swirl at one of our lures.
Yeah.
But we're like, all right, well,
a squirrel at the end.
Swirl.
Oh, swirl. He said squirrel.
No.
I was like, what? I was like, I support. What the hell did you just say?
No, the fish swirled at the lure.
Okay. Yep.
So we decide we're gonna go upriver a little bit and see if we can't sneak up on anything and kill the motor, drift towards them, get them to take flight, and pop them out of the air that way. And I look, and I see a bunch of turkeys. And I had the right size steel load for turkeys, because it's something like you have to use shot size 4 to 6, or unless it's mixed load, then you can use like 3 to 5 mixed. Okay. But I had size 4 steel with me.
Yeah.
So I threw out all my 2s, threw in the 4s, and made a sneak on them. And I shot a turkey while duck hunting. And that wasn't even preparedness. Now, for the record, I'm not...
Well, that'd be an opportunity, though.
Yeah, opportunistic.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, for the record, I am not ever going to take turkey load duck hunting with me, because that's an instant ticket.
Oh, really?
If you have any sort of lead load, well, duck hunting, instant ticket. So I just got lucky having the right size steel with that. Man, you should have seen the look on the warden's face, because we got checked at the boat ramp. Yeah. And I kind of got lucky in that one of the wardens checking us, I went to college with her. So, at least I think there would have been a lot more questions asked if they didn't know me, because otherwise they probably would have been looking for a lead load or a bullet or something. But he's, we pull up and the warden's like, "Hey, so what'd you get?" And we're like, "We didn't shoot a single duck." Like, what's that in the John boat? That's a turkey. Yeah. And we decided to have some fun with it too. Yeah. Because he's like, "Where'd you get that?" It was like, "Dude, craziest thing. Came into the spread, cupped everything, wham." And he's like, "Okay, all right. No, really, how'd you get it?" He's like, "Yeah, man, it was wild." So he flew into the boat, right? Yeah. and by the end of it, he was just kind of like, "All right,
yeah, I'm annoyed now. Just tell me how you got it."
I'm like, we just saw him on the bank, and I jumped up, made a sneak, got him.
Yeah.
But stuff like that, trying to be prepared to be an opportunistic hunter, because you never know what's gonna jump in front of you, what's gonna happen. A million different things can happen out there. Yeah. So
it's like every time early season of like deer hunting, Or not, yeah, early season of deer hunting, when partridge season crosses over,
Yep.
like, I will still bring out partridge load. So that way if I'm out and it's like, you know, I don't know, if I pull up or if on my way to my spot, a partridge jumps out, I can just shoot it, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I got something for the day.
Right.
I've shot a lot of partridge that way, you know. And it's funny because, like, I remember one time I ran into a buddy of mine. He said, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Deer hunting." And he was like, "Why are you parked on the side of the road?" I'm like, "There's a partridge up there." He had rolled up on me after I had just got out, but I was just in the middle of the road. He was like, "Why are you deer hunting like this?" I'm like, "No, the partridge jumped out." And so I just took the opportunity.
I'm trying to spin the deer up, get him moving.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah. I don't know. I think a lot of times when you're hunting, it's like, I think it's like tracking snow in a way is an opportunity. Like if you're out, like when Zach and I went out to his friend's camp, I'm trying to remember the relation, how everybody knew each other, but it's not all that important. We hunted for like 3 days there, and the first 2 days, like we were getting honed in on it, and the last day there was like fresh snow, and so it was like just taking the opportunity of being like, instead of necessarily going right back to the same spot, took the opportunity and the risk of what was going to be at the end of the tracks.
Right.
I mean, we did walk right up on some deer, but we walked up on them to the point that we were jumped by it and the deer were jumped by it. We just did not expect them to be that close when we came around the corner. But it was like, be a little bit more prepared next time and to expect that deer to be there. But the opportunity had presented itself, like a little bit of snow, just enough to track, came right up on something.
And then you scared each other.
Absolutely.
Nice.
We all learned something from us, both us and the deer. You know? Yeah. No, I think I don't know. I think fishing a lot of times, I take more opportunity in fishing. Like sometimes when I'm out in the woods and I'm jumping from like stream to stream, it's like just focus on what you're doing per se, and then I don't know. You get to know the area. I guess I shouldn't really say the opportunities in the fishing, but knowing the area and knowing when fish are running, taking that opportunity, I guess.
Yeah, being an opportunistic fisherman was a lot easier saltwater fishing. Yeah. Because, you know, you had your spots, but at the end of the day, it's the ocean. Yeah. So there's a million different things that you know, like pogie. It's a type of bait fish that we'd get on Cape Cod, use them to live line them for striped bass. Yeah. So we always had snaggers in the boat. That's how you catch them. Okay. In case we came across a school of pogies towards the end of the season, always had some spoons in the boat just in case we came across a school of false albacore.
That's fair.
Stuff like that. You can't get that in a lake.
No, it's true. It's true. I guess fly fishing in a way, like having both dry flies and streamers and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I know it's just fishing, but having enough of the arsenal is taking the opportunity. If you notice they're top feeding, then you still have the dry. I don't know if that's really a good example or not.
I don't fly fish. You're kind of talking Spanish to me.
Oh, okay. So
I mean, I've got a fly rod. I've got flies. And I'm just like, that one looks good.
Yeah. Well, there's different flies. So like some of the lures, I guess if you want to call them, or the flies, like dry flies, they sit on top of the water. Okay. They don't sink. Streamers are ones that like you put them in and you pull back and it kind of runs under the water a little bit. Yep. Looks like a running fish or a bug or whatever. Those are streamers, and you can catch those ones. I think they have like wet flies, which sink a little bit as well, or you can get like a different like heavier like tippets and stuff, which will cause your fly to like sink. Right. And so when you're out fly fishing, just pay attention to the water. Mm-hmm. Time of day really matters, but like usually early in the morning or late at night, and the bugs are rising or they're just landing, and if you just watch the water, and when the bugs land, the fish will come up and swallow them, and then you got to focus on like what the bugs look like, and so just having the arsenal of flies, I guess, in your back pocket, so that way when you see them going after like the most common things like a mayfly, you're like, all right, I need my lure that looks like a mayfly. You throw that on. Gotcha. They talk about like if you're out fly fishing to kick over rocks. Yep. Look at the bugs that are underneath there, and then try to find one of your flies that look like one of those bugs.
So, my experience fly fishing, and I don't even know if you could call this opportunistic. Yeah. I don't think is we jerry-rigged a lake trout trolling setup because we've got canoes, kayaks. We can't be pulling down riggers to get down to the bottom where the lake trout are to troll for them. So, fly rods, there's fancy reels called inline reels. Okay. And it's essentially a fly reel, but designed to be casted like a normal rod or a center pin reel. And those are really good because they don't flip the line around like a spinning reel can. Okay. Or what do you call them up here? The It's got a bail.
Oh, just like an open face reel.
Open face, yeah. So what we did, there's a certain type of rod holder called it's like a Grand Laker or something weird like that.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yep.
And take a fly rod and you load it up with lead core.
Oh, God. All right.
And then we'd still attach a fly on it.
Yeah.
But we'd be trolling with a fly 60 feet down.
Hey, if it works, it works.
It worked.
Yeah.
It worked. It was just, it's the weirdest thing. You know, you're just kind of like shooting off the busy dirt roads. Just something about it feels wrong.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, but is it? If it's illegal,
it's legal. It
Yep.
works.
Yeah.
I think if you went to a pond or a lake that was fly fishing only, whoever came to check your license might be a little ripped at you.
I wonder how that would work. I wonder what the rule that. I mean, it is a fly. You are fishing with a fly.
It's a fly. It's a fly rod. Yeah.
You're trolling with a fly rod now.
But I know like some places, this kind of like varies guy to guy that you get. There's some Japanese method of fly fishing. It's got a really fancy name.
It starts with a K, doesn't it? I'm pretty positive I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it's just literally just a stick basically with a long line.
Big bamboo stick, and that's it.
Yeah. Oh, what the hell is that?
Some places, some states don't recognize that as fly fishing, so people have gotten tickets
I'm gonna look it up
doing that. And even though they're using a fly and fly line.
Yeah.
So I think it might be a hard stretch to claim that I'm fly fishing towing lead core behind me.
Yeah.
I mean, the lead core looks like fly line.
Tenkara?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yeah.
Tenkara.
That's exactly it.
Yeah. I don't know. I wonder how that would work. Because you're right. You know, there's a little discrepancy there. But why don't you try it? Find out. Let us know how it goes.
Yeah. I mean, I already tried shooting turkeys out of the air.
Yeah. 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 Oh, gosh, I can't wait to do some fishing.
We haven't even started ice fishing.
I know.
Or is that what you're talking about?
No, I want to go back to fly fishing.
Already?
I love fly fishing. I really want to get some fish in my pond down here so I can go down there and fly fish my pond.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. I mean, if I had that, I'd do the same thing.
Yeah. I could have done it this past year. I kind of did. I was trying to show Connor when he was over how to fly fish.
Yeah.
And we were doing it a couple times. And then he ended up catching a frog. But
really?
Yeah.
Good eating, apparently.
Supposedly. None of the frogs I have are big enough where I'd want to eat them.
Yeah.
I'd want some meat on them. You know what I mean? I just have all those like frogs that are about, 3 or 4 inches. I had a big old bullfrog in there for a little while. That she was about this big. Like, the thing was huge. It was the size of my hand.
I remember my brother, my cousin, and I, we were like 10 years old. And we caught frogs, and we were like, hey, people eat the legs. Let's try it.
Yeah.
And we skinned the legs, threw them in a pan, and they started moving in the pan.
Yeah.
10-year-old me was like, I'm not touching that.
Yeah.
And since then, I've never been motivated enough to try it.
one. Would you eat like red squirrel?
I'd rather eat gray squirrel first.
I only asked that because like we have way more red squirrel here than we do gray squirrel, and there you can shoot those things from my understanding year round.
Yep.
And so it's like I thought about going out with my 22 and shooting some, but it's like I probably need 15 of the things to make a meal.
Yeah.
And then it's like I don't know if that's really worth it. So I don't want to go out and just massacre a bunch of squirrels for one meal, you know?
Well, I think the reason you can kill as many as you want is they're invasive.
Yeah.
Compared to the gray squirrels.
Yeah. How about rabbit? Did you eat rabbit?
Yeah, I've eaten rabbit.
Yeah. When is rabbit season?
Winter.
Yeah. I mean, that's all. I have rabbit everywhere out back.
Really?
Yeah. I want to go hunt them, but
I've never shot a rabbit. Always wanted to go rabbit hunting.
Yeah. Like this area is great for rabbit. Like if you here or off of the dirt road behind here, the main one that we're always on, there's rabbit everywhere.
So I know it's really helpful to have a dog to flush them out.
Mm-hmm.
First ever type of hunting I actually did was rabbit hunting.
Yeah.
I don't think my dad expected us to see anything.
Yeah.
I think he was just sick of 12 years of me, come on, take me hunting.
Yeah.
He was just finally like, all right, let's go do something.
Yeah.
And we didn't have a rabbit dog, so he'd just send me through the thick stuff to try to push it out.
You ever seen Joe Dirt?
No, I haven't.
No. in that movie, they're duck hunting, and they don't have a lab, so they send Joe there out to get the ducks. That's what that just reminded me of.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, son, go flush the bushes out. Yeah, come here, boy.
Whenever I duck hunt, we always draw sticks. Whoever gets a short stick, they're duck dog for the day.
Yeah, no doubt. No, I'd like to do some rabbit hunting, though. There's a bunch of them out there. What I'd probably do, because I don't have a dog for it, is I'd just find some of the points where it's like an open area where they're crossing like just like a main trail.
Yeah.
And then I'd probably just sit on that for, a few hours or something.
Got to get one of those judges, man.
Oh, yeah, the old circuit judge?
Just run through the brush.
Yeah. Da-da-da. Yeah.
Bam!
Yeah.
Right through the bush.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I was trying to stay on the opportunity point, and I'm trying to think of other opportunity situations that I've been in, but I can't really.
I mean, it can be hard doing the opportunistic hunting. Not everything overlaps.
Yeah.
I know when I was deer hunting out behind my house, bear season's still open, and so I did kind of have a couple things ready in case I happened across a bear. Not that I really expected it to happen, but it does happen.
Oh, yeah.
It's just, it's hard to prepare for the unknown, but, I was mentioning it to you earlier. Everybody thinks of preparation for a hunt being, you're going on a week-long backwoods elk hunting trip.
Right.
I'm not saying bring your entire closet with you hunting, but just maybe it doesn't take up that much room. Throw a shotgun in the back seat or something like that.
Yeah, no, especially for like the type of hunting that we're doing around here. I think that you can definitely be prepared for opportunities of like just what we're just talking about. If you're going deer hunting, you can bring a shotgun and have a certain type of load. Even if you're deer hunting with your shotgun, you can keep a couple loads on you. If you're on the way out, let's say if you're doing a morning hunt and you're on your way out, it's 11 o'clock and a partridge hops out in front of you. You know how many partridge I could have shot this year when I was out deer hunting, but I only had slugs and I wasn't going to start sending slugs through the woods.
So
especially at a partridge.
So that actually reminds me, I had a professor when I was in college, Gary Pelton, wicked awesome dude. He told me when he deer hunts, he brings a shotgun and a rifle every single time. And he's hiking through the woods. Now, I don't know if I want to hike through the woods with two guns.
Yeah.
But he said he'd have his shotgun in his hands for while he was walking in case he jumped a deer. And he had his rifle for when he was sitting. But when he had the shotgun in his hands while walking, he always had birdshot in the chamber in case he saw a partridge.
Yeah.
And then after that was slugs and buckshot. And I was like, what do you do if you jump the deer? You got birdshot. He said, well, I've got two options. I can either rack it real quick, or in my experience, it's faster to just dump the birdshot into the ground and then go up for the deer. I mean, but there's a good opportunistic.
Yeah. No, I mean, it is. Because a lot of times that's what I do is when I'll be hunting is sometimes I will have birdshot in first.
Yep.
And because like you just said, you can jack it. Or like depending on how far the deer is or whatever, you can discharge that birdshot and then you send a slug right behind it or a buckshot or whatever. Yeah. Definitely wouldn't shoot the deer a birdshot.
No.
Because you're just going to really piss it off.
Yeah.
And it's very unethical.
Well, I think dumping it into the ground, you have the chance of the deer freezing and being like, what the hell is that?
Yeah, no, exactly. I like that concept. Yeah. No, but you're prepared for the situation at hand.
Yeah.
So
I prefer to instead just give it a meh to make it stop moving. But
well, it's like sometimes when I've been bow hunting, I've thought about bringing a gun.
Yep.
And the reason I say that is like I'm at a bow hunting season and now I'm in a rifle.
Okay.
But I really want to shoot a deer with my bow.
Yeah.
So it's like when you get a big old slob that's 100 yards out, at least I got my rifle with me. Big old slob comes within 30 yards. Now I can shoot it with my bow. But now you're carrying two things. I don't like carrying so much stuff. So if I was to do that, like I'm going to do it here. Like I have an opportunity thing that I want to talk about. So my property is mine. I own enough land. I can hunt it. I'm going to put a food plot on it. And then I'm going to build one of those box blinds.
Oh, yeah.
Because that will provide me the opportunity for when my baby is born in May. I can hunt that season, bow hunting, because we'll be in a box blind.
Yep.
So they can still do their thing. And I'm not going to blow their eardrums by shooting the bow.
That's fair.
So there's the opportunity. My property brings me the opportunity to still hunt when I have a kid.
I mean, they even make baby earmuffs.
Yeah, I don't want to. Hold on there, Lucy. Yeah. No, I wouldn't shoot. I wouldn't shoot a gun in the box blind with an infant for sure. I would bow hunt though.
It's all well and good until that thing's like you get another patch buck
Yeah.
20 yards from you, and you notice the kid's starting to wake up. Don't you make a squeak.
Yeah. No, I'm going to insulate it. That way I can put a buddy heater in there.
Yep.
That way I can keep it warm. But I'll still have the opportunity to go hunt. Because I'm not going to be able to hunt probably next year as much as I did this year.
Mm-hmm.
But if I do the plot and I actually build a little box blind, which really won't be hard, it wouldn't take me long to do that, it would be like feasible to still get out and hunt a good handful of times next year.
I mean, especially when you can just real quick walk a couple hundred yards.
Yeah. Because I'm gonna brush hog out and around the property.
Yeah.
And then go up to the back side of that food plot and put the blind there. And I want to put one on the other side too, so that way if the wind's blowing one way or the other, excuse me, I can choose either one.
Well, then I can sit in the other one and we can shoot at each other.
I like it. We'll just have a stare down. We'll play rock, paper, scissors from across the food plot, figure out who gets to shoot first. Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't know. Had a lot to talk about. I'm losing what it was when it came to opportunity.
Yeah.
But overall, any big takeaways from this year?
Really trying to just set myself up for the opportunistic shots.
Yeah.
The side catch, if you want to call it that. Patience is a virtue that I do not have. That was a big takeaway for the year. I think if I sat still and was quiet instead of trying to call at the deer as much as I did and try to get them in front of me now, I might have had a better chance. That all just came from panic of 10 minutes of shooting light left. I gotta get my shot.
Yeah, you gotta do something. Yeah.
So
no, I felt like I liked what you said about your last hunt that you didn't even bring a call with you because that way you weren't
tempted.
Yeah, because that's my problem. Like I'll be sitting for like an hour and nothing's happening yet, and I'm like,
well, let's do something.
Yeah, it's like, and that's I feel like I'd be a better still hunter if I actually sat still longer.
Right.
Because like a lot of times, like I'll get into it, like I'll take forever to get to a spot, and I'll be there for like 15 minutes, and I'm like, but what's around that corner? And I move forward. Patience is something you just can't preach enough. I would say that big takeaways for me this year is, I guess, double sight my gun in.
Yeah.
I don't really fully understand what still had happened there, but for anyone who is not familiar with my story, is I shot 3 times at a buck this year, like 2 weeks after sighting my gun in, and I missed every single round. And my friend with me got up, shot it. It was a 9-point, 200-pound buck, and biggest deer I personally had seen in the woods while hunting. And when I went to the range, that I literally went from helping him get that deer out of the water. We went to the wood, went back to the range, and my sight was way off. The internals of my sight were broken. So, double checking my gun. So, shoot, maybe shoot it again just to verify that it's still working. Having the patience, I need to cut back on doing so much calls because I was just calling at the wazoo.
Yeah.
I don't think that helped me any. I really want to get different steps to get into my saddle stand because that wild edge steps, so like the triangles, you got to tie a knot on, fold down. Screw those things.
I'll sell you my old ones.
Potentially. I would be intriguing them because I'm cheap, but I also want to do some I want to do some homework, but you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
And
at $40, I promise you, you're not getting anything special with those sticks.
Yeah. So there's that from the season. I'm trying to think. Like I did a lot of homework last year, so I'm pretty happy with how often I was seeing deer.
Yep.
Like I had a really good deer to hunt ratio, if that's the right ratio I'm trying to present.
Yeah, sure.
For every time I went out and how many deer I saw, I had a high percentage rate of how much deer I saw.
Right.
In Maine, it's difficult to see deer every time you go out, and then this is big woods. I'm just picking a spot in the middle of the woods that I did some homework on last year, and I'm seeing deer, so I'm super stoked about that.
I did the same thing in terms of I had a pretty good deer to hunt ratio.
Yeah.
This deer season was the same as my college dating life. I got things interested, but I could never seal the deal.
Never seal the deal. Fair enough. You're just holding out for the right one, Nolan.
Yes, that was it.
Yeah. No, I'm really excited. So, I know I've mentioned it a bunch, and I've talked about some of these things multiple times, but I'm super excited about get my food plot in.
Yeah, I bet.
Because now the field is done per se. Like I had probably a week's worth of work come next season.
Yeah.
It's just really waiting for the ground up, for the ground to dry up, so that way we can plant and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But the deer now have been coming out to our front pasture almost every night and digging it up and eating the pasture. Obviously, there's a bunch of different stuff in there that they like, and it's just equestrian seed, but clover's in there, so I know they really like the clover. So it's nice that they're now relying on that and they're coming to that frequently. So now when I do my food plot, which is like 100 yards behind it, and I do that, hopefully that's like another staging area.
Right.
That if I hunt that, they'll come into that sooner than getting onto the actual pasture.
Yep.
So that would be awesome.
Well, you remind me, because I decided I'm going to do a little bit more with the food plot, because the first year I moved into that house, so last year, I just went in, found an area that was slightly more open than everything else, and just kicked some leaves out of the way, chuck some throw and grow, put a camera on it, and I got a couple pictures of deer. All in all, it was about the size of a kitchen table worth of stuff that I had planted. So,
but I'm telling you, that thing produced well.
So that gave me the encouragement of, okay, next year I'm going to go cut some trees down and give it a little breathing room, actually give it, still not full tilt, but a little bit better of a shot. And it surprised me how well it did. So I think next year, because when I went through, I basically cut down all the softwood, but I wanted to leave all the maple just because value, right? I think if I really want to see that food plot be successful, I need to get over myself a little bit and realize that little tiny patch isn't going to be what makes or breaks when I sell that house in 10 years.
That too.
And but make it bigger, rent a rototiller to actually break up the ground, because half of the seed I planted never even was able to take because the ground's so compacted in there.
Couldn't germinate and take root. I think that, from what I remember of your property, is it's fairly congested.
Yeah.
So you could definitely still clean out some stuff. Yeah. I think something that might help you too is that where your yard ends and then you have the food plot just shortly after that, you could find something that you like.
Oh no.
Your battery is dying.
Well, to fill in people listening, this was going to be our first podcast that we had a video going. We got a brandy new camera, and so we thought we'd try it.
It died.
Battery just died, so I guess this one's going to stay as just an MP3.
Is it? Do you only have one battery?
I've got a second one, but that one's not charged.
Oh, never mind. Anyhow, food plot, backyard. Oh, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Where your property borders the tree line, you should find something. This is just my opinion, 2 cents. Find like a plant that you like.
Yep.
And plant it that grows tall. So therefore, it gives you like a natural barrier.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Because what I'm thinking about doing here is like, I've shown you where I want to do my food plot.
Yep.
How like from the pasture you can look down and it's kind of like a opening, like a pinch point between all the trees, and it opens back up.
Yep.
And where it opens back up on the front side of that, I'm thinking about planting sunflowers.
Gotcha.
Doing like a row or two of sunflowers right there. Because one, sunflowers, when they die, they drop all the seeds and the deer eat that. 2, it just gives it a natural wall.
Yeah.
So when they come in behind it to eat the food plot, they can't see us up in the pasture per se, and it might just give them a security blanket.
Yeah.
I'm not saying for you to just plant sunflowers.
Right. The issue is that path I walk in, I also take my 4-wheeler down that.
Yeah.
Like, that's my whole exit plan if I shoot a deer in there.
Oh, yeah.
And also how I get my stuff down there to do work in there. That's why I did, when I cut the path, I made it windy so that way you couldn't see the house from the food plot.
Yep.
And I kind of want them to get comfortable on that path. Now I'm seeing they're actually starting to walk that path into my yard because they're eating my trees out of the yard, which is cool. I'm happy with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we were talking about opportunistic.
Yeah.
One thing that I do during deer season, I leave my rifle next to my front door with the mag right next to it. I don't have children, so this is okay for me to do. In hopes that I look out and I see a deer in the yard.
Yeah.
Now, do I want to shoot the deer that way per se, in terms of like, look at me as a hunter?
I think that's why it feels wrong shooting them from a dirt road. I don't want to shoot a deer that way.
But at the same rate, as we've said a million times, we are not in a position that we can pass on a deer.
Yeah.
And at least we're, now that I do expand it, I've got extra tags and I can go get a deer the real way.
Right. No, I know exactly what you mean. Well, that's like right here. I mean, so what I've been going back and forth on the food plot. I know this is kind of like way off topic from what we originally were going to talk about, but screw it.
It is a freebie.
Yeah. I wanted to clean it up because I got some of those stumps and whatnot in there. Clean that up. I don't like the concept of just dumping bags of corn on the ground for like baiting deer during like summertime and stuff like that. I don't like it when people do it illegally. Feeding, yes. And when people do it illegally, deer don't really actually get a lot from corn.
Right.
And so it's like even if they're doing it illegally, like you're not really helping the deer any.
Right.
You're
making them full and kind of in a weird way making them thinner.
Right. And so I thought about doing like a garden out back there. Like I had the food plot where I throw and scatter everything. And then like I was thinking about doing a row of corn just because I simply do like it, but I wasn't going to like when I'm talking about how much corn I'm going to be growing out there, like we're not talking about hundreds of pounds of it, so it's like it would just give them something to eat in that fall time when they do die off. But I also thought about doing what is it called? Like they're like beets and just other stuff that will
like
last.
A sweet feed?
Not sweet feed. What is the word I'm looking for here? Maybe it's like mustard greens. They just last longer into the season. I thought it started with a D, and I'm just missing what it is, but it really don't matter. There's a certain vegetables that last longer into the season, and they're top like soil foods. Gotcha. They're like radishes or like corn, carrots. Just something that they can just dig a little bit at and still access. But then that stuff there is actually beneficial to them.
Right.
And so a little bit of corn because they do obviously like corn. There's a reason they sell corn to, for people to, bait or feed or whatever. But I don't want them to eat too much of that.
Yeah.
But lure them in, keep them in the area, then they can dig up the ground, eat everything else. But that way the sunflowers are just going to be a natural wall.
Yeah.
And so when I walk up to the place, one, it'd be cool just to look out and see a bunch of sunflowers. Because, I don't know, I like sunflowers.
Yeah.
But then it gives them a blanket of security so that they don't feel as vulnerable.
Right.
I don't know. It's just in my mind how I think about doing it.
No, I mean I think that'd be good. That especially where we're in small places and these small little honey hole plots, we need to do stuff that does more than one thing. So having the sunflowers that give cover and feed, that's awesome. And like with what you said about dumping a bag of corn on the ground, I'm in the same boat. I try to stay away from just corn. When I'm feeding them in the winter, sometimes I'll throw it in a little bit as just like a filler.
Yeah.
I try to keep it pretty steady on what I'm feeding them because I know you can't mess with their digestion biome too much. But like I was saying today, that some alfalfa cubes.
Yeah.
I've got that in there as well because they get a lot of protein from that. And
you ever had any luck with like mineral blocks or salt blocks?
I have. They last year they demolished a mineral block that I had out there.
Yeah.
To the point that I was like, I can't keep buying them. It went too quick.
Oh really?
Because I had buy like.
How big of a block did you get?
Like what you buy at Tractor Supply, so like 1 foot by 1 foot.
Oh, so like the 50-pound one.
Well, now I say it certainly didn't feel like it was 50 pounds.
The ones that I buy, you can buy them from Tractor Supply or whatever.
Yeah.
They're this big. I think they're 40 or 50 pounds.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, they're just dense. No, I threw one of the mineral blocks out there last year. And I wasn't sure if they were eating it at first or not, but like if you look at it, now that I realize what it looks like when the horses, because we give the horses the mineral blocks too.
Right.
Now I can tell like, oh, they are consuming it. Because it looked like water damage almost on top.
Yeah, that's exactly what mine looked like.
Yeah, but they lick one spot so much that it just leaves a tongue groove.
Huh.
Yeah, because the horses do that. The ones that they have, it's like they look the same. So I'm banking on that.
Yeah, mine looked like water damage. It split in half at one point, and then it really started going quick.
Yeah.
And so then I kind of reached the point of, this thing's just getting withered away.
Yeah.
But I had a lot of deer last winter. I mean, I had one trail camera photo of like 15 deer.
They herd up, I think, pretty well behind your place because it's so dense in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, man, I don't want 15 of these. I'm putting a 2-gallon bucket out every day.
Right.
I can't feed all these guys.
I have some black water troughs Actually, before you leave today, if you might mind helping me, actually, they might be thawed out enough. I wanted to take one of those. They're like probably 8 inches deep, if I remember correctly, 10 inches deep. And they're like one of those small ones that you can put in the ground that you fill up with water for like ducks and stuff like that to get in. But I was just going to put grain in it.
Gotcha.
And I was going to do like the wildlife grain and stuff like that for deer. And
See, you mentioned that stuff the other day. I don't think I'm having good luck with it.
Really?
Because so like other stuff I use, it is gone.
Yeah.
Right? Like they if there's snow on the ground, wherever I put it, it's down to dirt.
Yeah.
And then they even ate some of the dirt trying to make sure that they got all of it.
It's funny because we live, 10 miles apart maybe, if that, 5 miles?
Yeah, 5 miles.
Probably 5 miles. And that's all I used last year, and they demolished it. Same idea. I had a spot out here where I kept putting it, and it was down to the dirt, just beat.
I put some out a week ago, and they've definitely gone in it and picked at it, but there's still a bunch of stuff there.
I originally had started off with just a wildlife feed. We're talking about wildlife feed from Blue Seal too. People are interested in looking what we're talking about. So I did the wildlife feed, and then you had recommend that apple crush scented stuff. Whatever it was called.
It aerosolizes, really brings them in.
So I had good luck with just the feed, and then afterwards, when you had mentioned that stuff, I started adding that to it as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely noticed they came faster when you had the apple mixed into it.
Yeah.
But every time they would just eat that stuff gone in just a couple days.
Huh.
Because I have a 5-gallon bucket. I would fill that up probably about halfway, 3/4.
Gotcha.
I'd go dump it, and like 3 or 4 days later, they would eat it. Luckily, that feed's only like $16 to $18 last time I remember, so it's not super expensive. And it has like oats in it, and I can't remember everything it has in there, but it's mixed with molasses. And
I guess my deer have a silver spoon.
They are high up on that mountain.
Yeah, they're high up on the mountain, looking down at all the other deer at Brandon's house.
Yeah.
Eating blue seal. What a bunch of losers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I don't know. I want to take the opportunity of the property to do exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Doing these food plots. I think it's awesome. I'd love to mimic what Brownville's got going on.
Oh, yeah.
I think it'd be fun. That'd be more fun for me than anything, but I'll put it on a live feed, How do you do it? How do you go about that?
Well, it has to have an internet connection.
Oh, it does?
And then it's probably streaming. Golly, you put me on the spot. It's probably streaming to a computer, and then the computer is putting it up onto the live feed, something like that.
Fair enough. Yeah, I don't know.
That's the only way I can think to do it. Or either that, or if there's no internet connection, he's got some really long wires.
Yeah, it's cool. It is cool. No, man, I need to get going on my ice fishing stuff.
Yeah,
I need to clean that up. I've been slacking on that. I haven't really done anything.
I bought a new box today. I was so excited. Little Plano outdoorsman box. Actually, I was at Tractor Supply this morning, and I always look for something to put my tip-ups in. I don't like just throwing them loose in the jet so that I feel like they're going to get messed up that way.
Yeah.
So, for the past 2 years, I had this cheap $8 Amazon bag that I bought, and it was working great, but $8 bag, the thing's just shredded now. So I get this Plano box, and I'm like, this will be perfect. Throw a tip-up in it. Doesn't fit, so I'm wicked bummed. I gotta return that today.
Yeah, that sucks. I don't like using the baskets. You know the typical baskets?
The pack baskets?
Yeah.
Really?
They're just so bulky, and I think that's why I don't like them.
Okay.
I think what I would really like to get is like a style sled where I can just drop them individually, like into it. Like let's say I built a sled that on the sides, they had like individual pockets for each strap or something.
Yep.
So you could just drop them down in, then you could put all your stuff in the middle. I don't know. Because a lot of times I just, like we talked about the other day, ice fishing isn't my favorite out of all of them. I like it. I do enjoy it. So I shouldn't say it with such like emphasis of like, it's not my favorite.
But it's a lot of work.
Yeah, and a lot of times it's just like the pain in that ass part of just, you stack everything into the jet sled and it's just chaotic to me.
Yeah.
And it's like I want to organize my stuff, and I'm not even a super organized guy, I don't feel like, but it's like I want to have it a certain way. I feel like I've also just had one too many fishing trips where like all my stuff gets dumped, and I'm like, sweet,
I've gotten to a really good point. Bree comes out ice fishing with me all the time. My God, I hate ice fishing without her now.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, I'm sure she's going to listen to this, so sorry, honey. It's not even for the company. It's that she's at the point of she is such a huge help because we go through, and I'm spoiled. She doesn't know it. Now she's going to know it because I'm admitting it. She her and I pop up the shack,
Yep.
and I drill it to the ice, and then she goes and she sets up camp.
Nice.
I go drill 10 holes,
Yep.
and then I set up my tip-ups. And by the time I'm done setting my tip-ups, she's done setting up camp.
Yep.
She usually has another 10 minutes left, but she looks at me and she says, start jigging, start fishing, start working on getting us a fish.
Yep.
So then I get to sit back and relax, and she's still got 5 tip-ups she has to set because I...
You lazy bastard.
Well, and I went into it, when my dad taught me how to fish, it was only so long of he'd cast the rod for me before he was like, no, you're going to do it yourself. You're going to learn.
Absolutely.
And then, about that same time, I had to undo my own tangles. And that was also the time he was done giving me his rod to reel in the fish.
Yeah.
And so I shouldn't say reach the same point. I showed her how to do it once, and then I was like, the only way to learn is to do. I'm not touching your traps.
Something that Sam and I have a hard time with is I try to explain everything to her,
Yeah.
and she wants input, and then sometimes she's like, I want input, but I don't need all the information you're giving me.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to explain to her why she's doing things, and then she gets frustrated. So now I'm on the other side where I do just give her the pole, and I'm over on a rock somewhere, and she's just cussing out the line or something because she's struggling, and I'm like, if I come over and help her, she's going to get frustrated because she wants to be able to do it herself.
Yeah.
But if I don't come over and help her, she's going to be frustrated because she's going to be tangled up the rest of the time that we're fishing, and that's not fun either. So it's I don't know which way to go.
Yeah, I admittedly, I think I go too far one way. I mean, 2 years ago, we were out fishing, and it was like what you were talking about last week. She's watching everybody catch fish.
Yeah.
And she never got a flag all day.
Yeah.
And I only caught 3, so that's what I say only. But that's why I didn't at that point let her fight a fish, and she won't let me let her fight a fish anyways. Yeah. So I was like, well, did you set your traps right? She was like, I set my traps right. I set my traps exactly how you showed me. I know I did it right. And this is only our second or third time ice fishing together. Yeah. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm not going to check your traps. I told you, this is on you.
Right.
And we go to pull the traps for the day.
All 3 have fish.
And it's a heritage tip-up trap. So there's a little thing, you put the flag, and you have to have a lever behind it to kick the flag out. And I can't talk it out well. So
the rod comes up and it bumps out, right?
Yeah.
The metal rod that's connected to
the reel.
Yeah, so the reel turns, and on the reel there's an ear.
Yep.
And it hits the bottom of the rod, which will turn the rod, which halfway up the rod is where the flag is hooked into, and when it turns, it bumps the flag off that rod and it flings it up.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So you got to do rod, flag.
Yeah.
So that way it's behind it to push the flag. She did flag, rod.
No.
So fish came, and that rod's moving around, but the flag's behind it instead of in front of it, so it never tripped.
Triggered, yeah.
So then she had a fish. She had a beautiful laker.
Nice.
And God knows how long.
Yeah. Yeah.
I put at least 100 yards of line on each spool, and it spooled half of it.
Yeah.
And there was so much because it starts pulling at her, and so I'm like, don't worry about spooling, just pull the line, fight the fish. And she still hadn't learned, even while you fight the fish, you got to be kind of cognizant of where you place your line.
Yeah.
So she just dumps it all into a pile, huge mess.
Oh no.
And she, God bless her soul, she starts, after we deal with the fish, she starts trying to untangle the line.
Yeah.
And this is 150 feet of line she's trying to untangle. I got fed up at that knot just watching her try, and so I said, watch this. I pull out my knife, tink, it's all done. And she's like, but that costs you money.
Yeah. Not enough money to worry about it. Yeah. I will move on from that. Yeah.
No, she still, that was 2 years ago, she still apologizes for that.
Don't apologize. You caught a fish. That's awesome. I felt bad for a while because Sam, when I talk about going fishing, trout and salmon are nice fish, and everything else I call them junk fish.
Yep. Not
even if I'm necessarily even a bass, or I love bass fishing.
Yeah.
So it's I'm catching junk fish, but I think she took that as like if she caught bass or pickerel or whatever, like it wasn't like...
It's like, oh, who cares?
Yeah, and I felt bad because that's not how I meant it. I just meant it as...
This is not a fish that we're going to take home and eat.
Yeah, like it's a junk fish. Go catch those like whenever you want to.
Yeah.
But, so I just remember one time we were out fishing and I was like congratulating her. I think we were ice fishing. And she's like, yeah, but I wanted to catch like a good fish, not a junk fish. And I was like... But it's fine. Like, you still caught fish, That's awesome. Congratulations, you caught fish,
Oh man, I used to love catching bass ice fishing because when I first started, I didn't know what the heck I was doing, and I caught one trout my first time ever ice fishing.
Yeah.
And so then all of a sudden it was in my head, this lake.
Yeah.
This is the lake to go if you want to catch trout.
Yeah.
And it was like a 9-inch trout. Come to find out, it was a stocky. There's no native trout there. There's barely any stock trout there. I just got lucky. And for 2 years of college, that was the only place I ice fished.
Yeah.
Catching bass and perch and pickerel.
Yeah.
And I'm like, one of these days I'm going to get another trout because this is the place.
This is the place. I got some buddies that will only like fish certain ponds, and it's like because they get stocked.
Yeah.
And nothing wrong with it. If you catch a fish,
Yeah.
catch a fish, and it's fun. But like, I like to know there's native brookies or salmon or something like that. I don't mind if they get stocked on top of that.
Yeah.
But I want to go to a place where for sure there's fish in here, and it's not like it just got hammered for the last 3 weeks and now everything's gone. Like, I want to know.
Now, best place I think you could go to catch native salmon. Mm-hmm. The Penobscot River.
Oh, yeah. That is the place to go. Might as well ice fish it, too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For the record, do not even look at a salmon in any river in Maine that touches the ocean.
Yeah.
That's isn't that a felony?
It might be.
It's definitely a little more than a
I'm not
fine.
sure.
They
got the Googles.
Yeah, they get mad at it.
Yeah. No, I mean, it is funny, too, because you can catch landlocked salmon all day.
Yeah.
But you catch one of those things, you ain't fishing for a while.
Well, I mean, what would be worse if you get caught with a sea run salmon or a sturgeon?
I don't know. I would love to catch a sturgeon, though.
I want to catch one so bad, but it's a...
I wouldn't kill it, but...
Yeah.
I don't even think you're allowed to let it come out of the water, right? You have to
So-
cut the line.
so-
Which is weird to me, because like if a sturgeon has a hook stuck in its mouth, don't you want me to pull that thing out?
You would think, because there's two different types of bans. There's harvest bans and target bans, and I'm actually dealing with this with Massachusetts.
Okay.
Because they're thinking about putting a target ban on striped bass.
Yeah.
Right now there's a slot limit, and it'll actually affect Maine. I just don't
Well, they
striped
got
bass fish in Maine.
Striped bass, I feel like got super popular in the last like 5-10 years.
Yeah, especially now that they're coming further up.
Yeah.
So the harvest ban is you can't keep any of them. Target ban is you are not even allowed to try to go fishing for them.
Yeah.
So sturgeon, I believe, have a target ban. So, if you're walking into a river like the Penobscot where everybody goes bass fishing,
Yeah.
and you have a saltwater rod,
Yeah,
and
seal
a
leader
hunking
and-
piece of bait, then you're getting a ticket or something.
Yeah. There's so many I don't know. Question laws, right?
Yeah.
I know there's reasons for like sturgeon and salmon. It's because they were going extinct or whatever was happening. The numbers are way down. I don't know if I should say extinct, but the numbers were way down. But how do you know if I'm targeting those?
The salmon would be harder to pinpoint to an extent. Especially at that point, it's really just if you keep a salmon.
Yeah.
But I do think the gear that you need to land a sturgeon is so wildly different than the gear needed to land a largemouth bass. It's one of those, I won't tell anyone I won the lottery, but there'll be signs.
Yeah. No, for sure.
The striped bass target ban, I don't know how they would enforce that.
Yeah.
Because the same place you catch striped bass or the same place you catch bluefish.
Yeah.
And I use the same lures. And I'm not saying I'm going to go out and I'm going to purposely try to catch striped bass if they put a target ban in. But, I also don't want to get dinged for a ticket because I was chasing a school of bluefish.
You can catch striped bass right out of Old Town.
Yeah.
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 And so it's like, and whenever I have caught 2-strike bass now, and both times I've just been fishing for bass. You know,
Right.
and they just bite on. So if they were to nail me for target bass fishing, it's like, I'm sorry, I was using the rubber salamander. You know, it's like
I think the way that they would do that is they watched you catch it, and it was all your interaction. Did you stuff it into a cooler, or did you try to keep it in the water and try to get it out as quick as they can? The big issue is they're finding striped bass don't have the best survival rate after being caught and released.
Yeah.
And that's because people leave them out of the water for 5 minutes to take all these pictures.
Photos and stuff. I know, it always cracks me up when people are like, oh, get the photos.
Yeah.
And like they had the fish out for like 10 minutes. It's like, they breathe underwater. You know, it's like, if anything, put them in the net. You know, if you really want that photo so bad, put them in the net. Set them in the water, get your crap ready, and pull it out, take your photo, and put them back.
Well, and the other issue is, like, I will not touch a fish's gills unless I'm going to keep that fish.
Yeah.
Just the weight, you can screw up the gills, and now, it may as well have made that thing smoke a pack of cigarettes for its whole life.
Something that I try to not do as much anymore either is lay them flat on the ice.
Yeah.
Ice fishing.
Yep.
I heard that can really jack them up. I mean, I don't know. I've done it for so long, and I always watch them swim off so easily. So it's like, what's the number ratio of like?
I mean, I know doing all my fish breeding in high school, in my technical school, a water temperature change of more than 2 degrees within 24 hours is enough to put them into thermal shock.
I believe it.
So
slap them on the ice.
Yeah, they come out of 40-degree water and you slap them on 10-degree ice. I mean, I don't know about you, that'd give me a little...
Like, oh, man. Yeah.
But going back to the gills thing, I mean, so many people grab striped bass by the gills, and especially you catch it's very possible catch a 40, 50-inch striped bass, and people grab it by the gills, and the gills are the size of my head, so now you've got your entire forearm in there. That fish ain't gonna live.
No, you're just jacking up. It's like if I reached in and grabbed your lung.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. No, I know we're kind of all over the place in this podcast a little bit.
Well, like I said, today's a freebie.
Yeah. I really want to catch a pike. I think we talked this a little bit last time.
Yep.
And pretty soon here we're going to switch kind of off from hunting right into just mainly fishing. So podcast would be a little bit more of a narrow window or a specific subject. But I want to catch a pike bad.
I want to spear a pike bad.
Ooh, can you do that?
Conflicting results from Google.
Yeah.
I think I just need to buck up and call a game warden and ask them.
Well, it's like spearing suckerfish.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the rule is, though, if you have to get a license for it or what it is.
I don't know. I will never spear suckerfish.
Why?
Because when I lived in Unity, I had a stream behind my house.
Yeah.
And we saw the suckers were running. So we couldn't find any real spears. So we got frog gigs.
Frog what?
Gigs.
What's that?
A frog spear.
Okay.
So it looks exactly like a fish spear, except zoom out. It's smaller.
Yeah.
So we decided we're going to go try to catch suckers because the night before we saw so many of them. They were big, big suckers.
Nice.
I don't know what our plan was with them after we speared them, to be honest. And so it's the next night. Can't find anything. And all of a sudden I see something zipping through. And I huck the spear at it, and my buddy behind me, he hucks one. We all go on it until the last buddy in line's like, dude, that's a trout. Like,
oh, no. Yeah. That's not good. Yeah.
We didn't even look at what it was. We just saw a movement, just,
Dude, I have a buddy. I love this kid to death, but he's a wild man. And when we were in high school, right, you know those, like, stretchable, like, workout like things?
Resistance bands?
Yeah. They have like handles on the end.
Okay.
And it's like a rubber tube.
Yep.
And you would stretch with that. Alright, so this kid, love this kid to death. Like if we ever hit an apocalypse, if we go to war or anything like that and it's happening here, I'm calling this guy. Like this guy is someone I'm gonna be like, let's meet up.
Yeah.
You tell me what to do. But just a survivalist, if that's the right way of saying that.
Yeah.
So he used to take those workout bands, the resistant bands, and he would cut it 3/4 the way down.
Okay.
And he found out that if you take like a broadhead arrow, that rubber band would fit down the shaft of the arrow.
Oh my god.
And then you could go underwater because he would go into the river, and you could pull that thing back and rest it on your like between your knuckles.
Yeah.
And let go, and it would shoot out, and he would stab bass with it, and it would hook a broadhead because the broadhead on the backside would be blunt.
Right.
It would catch the bass and it'd pull it right back to him. And he'd catch it and he'd pull it up and he would eat the bass.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So that kid was wild. So speaking of spearing fish, I'm pretty sure that was 100% illegal. He was like 15. It was cool to watch.
Yeah, I bet. I wouldn't do it, but I certainly wouldn't turn away.
Yeah, well, as a kid,
No,
he's
stop,
2
don't.
years older than me, so I was probably 13 or so when we were doing it.
Right.
But it was just wild to see, and I remember just watching him all the time. Actually, that's how I learned to fly fish, was bass fishing
Yeah.
with him. Yeah, he used to go out and fly fish with bass. Talk about feeling like you're catching a 40-pound monster.
The largemouth bass slock master, apparently.
What is that?
Oh, the slock master. He's this guy on YouTube. Look him up after I leave.
Okay.
Spear hunting moose.
Yeah. What?
Yeah.
Nice.
There's dude. He does spears elk and bison. It just three feet away. Just
Yeah. You know what I always thought would be fun, and I'm pretty sure this is illegal, so this is why I've never done it. Is ice fishing. You
Okay.
set the trap.
Yep.
On frozen water.
Yep.
I've always wanted to take like pool noodles, make wooden framing,
Yeah.
and have it be on like not like in the summertime or whatever. You push one of those out on a rope, and then you have a hook dangling from it.
Right.
So it's just floating around. And
Yeah.
You can still get tip ups and then pull it back.
Like jugging.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. Because the fish can't pull the gallon of
The milk jug underwater. Yeah.
But you can tell you have a fish.
So I know jug fishing is illegal.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if you got it.
All right.
Yeah, that's. I feel like that's just jug fishing with extra steps.
Yeah. I caught a guy jug fishing before I even knew what it was one time. We were out ice fishing, and he was ice fishing. And then over, like, to the 15, 20 feet from where he was at was open water where there was an outlet. And there's a log that leaned over it.
Okay.
And there was just a jug floating there. And we all just kind of thought it was trash. And obviously you have open ice right there, so you don't walk up to it because you don't want to fall through. That guy had a line tied to it, and he had ran it through the tree. And so you're only allowed to have 2 traps on this pond.
So he had 2 traps and a jug?
Yeah, and he just pretended like it wasn't there. And then it started bouncing at one point, and I just remember him just getting up. And he was just some old guy.
Yep.
He got up, wandered over, looked around, pulled a fish out of the ice real quick. And I just remember being there. It was me and Zach that were there, and we're like, what is that guy doing? You know, we just didn't know anything about it. And we asked him about it, and he was just kind of sketchy about it. And then we looked it up. It's because it was illegal. He was sketchy about it because it was illegal.
You know, I mean, I'm not condoning poaching or anything. Yeah. You got to give some credit where credit is due. People get creative with this stuff.
No, they do, for sure. No, they really do.
They got to be opportunistic, I guess.
Yeah. Hey, I had a question for you. So you put out that scalloping video.
Yes.
How do you not catch rocks with that?
Oh, you sure do.
How does that not destroy all your stuff instantly?
It's just the fact that the chains, because it's a chain opening, so it's able to skate over the rock, and then the netting usually just doesn't catch on anything.
Fair enough.
And there's chains on the bottom of the drag, and then the top is netting.
Okay.
So it's actually really cool because you can feel what type of bottom you're on.
Yeah.
So as we're driving the boat along, you can feel you're on sand, and then you kind of get a little knock and then some resistance. It's like, okay, now we're into the weeds and everything, and all of a sudden the boat catches and turns a little bit, like, oh, there's a rock, you know.
All right.
Now, if you get a massive one,
Yeah.
you kind of SOL.
Yeah. So for people who don't know, Nolan recently posted a video of him going out scallop fishing. Is that what
Dragging,
it's called?
scallop fishing, yeah.
You caught scallops?
We say scallops.
Scallops?
From the Cape. I know other people say scallop.
Yeah.
6 1/2 does another.
From the bush. I don't know how to say anything. So
Yeah.
scallop. All right. Fair enough. Yeah. No, it was a cool video though. But
Yeah, it's nuts how few there are of them left.
yeah.
That I think I said this in the video. We were hoping, like, if it was going to be a really, really good day if we got 10 to 15 scallops
Yeah.
per tow
Okay.
out of 6 drags.
Yeah.
And I asked my dad, I'm like, when you started doing this, how many would you get per drag? He was like, yeah, about 200 to 300.
Yeah, I remember him saying that. You did say that in the video.
That's wild.
It is wild.
And that's why nobody does it. That's why he's the last person in the entire town to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there restrictions on it?
Nope.
No.
Just I think your drags have to be a certain size, and there's still restrictions of, you know, the scallop has to be a certain size, and you can only keep so many.
Yeah.
but I'm not going to lie, he knows all the laws and the specifications with the drags, and so I just kind of took his word for it that we were doing everything right.
Yeah. Hop back into ice fishing. We were talking about the game of inches the other day.
Yep.
You haven't been out fishing yet?
Nope, not yet. I'm hoping. I've got 8 days off. I'm going to be so mad if I don't get out during these 8 days.
Zach just went out, and he had some luck. I'm trying to remember where he went. Oh, excuse me. I'm trying to remember where he went because Maine is weird. You can fish in some spots right now and not in others. And some places you can keep, and some places you can just simply fish them.
And it's all about who has native trout and who has stockies. So if you go to a place full of the tank scrubbers, or the stock trout, you can fish that right now and you can keep them. But if you go to a place with the native trout, you can't keep anything till January 1st.
So the spot that he just went out, I'm hoping to go out soon with him. These are most likely stocked.
Yep.
This place supposedly has native, but every time I've been there, they've always been stocked.
Right.
And you can tell because the fins are clipped.
Yep.
But I'd like to go out there hopefully soon. And I'm hoping to get a video on that. This last time we were out to this place, it's been a few years, we had fished it all day.
Mm-hmm. And
I remember just coming out of the ice shack one point, and Zach and I like to check traps like every 45 minutes to an hour. Like, there's nothing's going on. Check, been an hour. Let's just go check them, make sure the bait's not dead or whatever, And I remember I was like, I want to check that trap over there. And I just picked out one random trap, walked up to it. There was a fish on it. The reel had frozen at the top. And so it didn't spin.
Yep.
And so the fish was literally, you could just see it spinning in circles. And it was like an 8-inch brook trout or something like that. It wasn't like anything crazy. But it was just so funny because it was just like, I want to check that one way over there. There's no flag up, nothing. Just happened to pick the one with the fish on it.
Oh!
Yeah. Yeah. No, it was cool. I've always liked fishing this spot, though.
Yeah.
And it's close by. It's not far.
Shoot me a text.
Yeah.
Not to invite myself, but I'm going to invite myself.
No, fair enough. Yeah, I don't know. We haven't made any plans yet.
Yeah.
I still need to really go through all my ice fishing stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe today, I took that video of me going out in the woods the other day. I wanted to get that uploaded, and then I might go do that. It all depends on what time it is, because it's 2 o'clock, and I'm really not planning. I don't really want to do too much for the rest of the day.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
I work tomorrow, and it's New Year's Eve, and I'm going to be on shift, so I don't know what that might entail.
Yeah.
Maybe nothing. Maybe everything.
Nothing before midnight.
Yeah, no, everything after midnight. But I don't know what time we have right now.
We're at an hour 12, so I think we're probably safe to start wrapping it up.
I'd say so. Lots of things are coming. We always say that. Realistically, you're going to hear from us in the week. We're going to be shooting the crap again. Hopefully, start to get into ice fishing. That's going to be our biggest transition.
Yeah, hopefully we'll be comparing sizes next week.
Yeah.
Fishes.
Yeah, we're fishing. Yeah. Yeah, no, so we're going to transition mainly from hunting into fishing just due to the season. I, myself, personally still plan on making some videos for being out in the woods and, stuff I'm looking for to prepare for next year's season. And I'm also still going to try to get some ice fishing videos. I might do a whole video of me just going through my gear.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be super exciting, but it's very realistic.
Yeah.
So maybe some of that stuff. I don't know. I'd like to jig up a nice fish this year. I have that ugly stick.
Yep.
I love that little jig rod, and I haven't really. I've never caught fish jigging with it. I've only caught fish out of streams with it when I'm hiking.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so I'd like to jig something up with that.
We'll get you on one. I'll put you on one of those new mainly flies or mainly outdoor jigs.
Yeah.
I'll give you one of those for a day, and we'll go get one.
Yeah. And what's this place down here down the road?
Tip and spin.
Tip and spin. Yeah. Apparently we're neighbors with Tip and spin. I had no idea.
Yeah. I want to try one of their traps.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Jason has them.
Yeah.
He's got no complaints.
Yeah. No, so I'd like to try that. I'd like to try a bunch of different things. But thank you for sticking it out with us. As always, we appreciate it. Let us know if you want anything specific to be talked about. Other than that, Nolan, you got anything?
I got nothing.
All right. Thanks, guys.
See you later.